Hello and welcome to another Six Sages Gaming Duel Series. Today we have for you a match between Mono Red on the left. This is going to be the Pollen version. And on the right we have the Fast in the Fusoya, as it was called. It was the winning list from the deck builder contest that we had. So we will be playing 3 games for you. Like to do these, of course, is a best of 3. Just give you an idea of what the decks are supposed to do and give you an idea of how they play out. And I will say that the Fast and Fusoya deck was a lot better to play than I had expected. The one downside, of course, to the deck, now we are playing the original list that we had posted, we didn't make any changes yet, is the lack of 2-drop options that we have. Marowib is, in a sense, only 2-drop because it does give us, we do net a card off of it, making it functionally a 2-drop, but we still have to discard something in the process. Here I grab the Pain just so I can tutor up Yuna or get, more card advantage back on the next turn. And then Matt is starting off here with a couple of 2-drop backups, it looks like. Red Mage, of course, being a very real card that makes one of my forwards not being able to block. And there he was asking what I had tutored for, showing him that I got Pain. So hitting Fusoya there off the top is great. Again, we're playing 3 because we really want to see it early, and if you can get it into play on turn 2, it really does help the tempo of your game. So first priority when playing the deck is going to be finding the Marowib backup or adding archers, at least having some 2-drop backup, and certainly the second priority is going to be finding Fusoya. The other reason to play archer is because there's going to be some backups that are going to give you some issues, and you just have to have answers for them. So Matt's taken a couple turns just to build up his backups here. Then he has LeBeau, which gives all his fire forwards plus 1000 power. And of course, if you're playing the mono element decks, each one has its plus 1000 power backup, which is absolutely essential for the decks. Here I realize that I just need to play Pain to get find some more cards, because again, eventually I want to set up that Riku that we have in our hand. We do have the Yuna already, so it's just getting something on the board that either Pain will get in a point of damage if he doesn't play something next turn, or it does give us the opportunity to present a 10k block, so Pain can block something and then Fusoya can deal the 7000 damage to it. Now, of course, as many of you know, that Fusoya makes it where we have to ping ourselves for a point of damage, but as you'll see as this match goes on, we are playing 20 EX bursts in the deck. It was 19 or 20, I forget exactly. So EX bursts do come up quite often. And here Matt plays the Irvine just to burn my guy out of the way, and going to be playing, I would have really liked to see him play the Emperor here actually, just because it doesn't die to a lot of things that the deck is running. Of course, you can bounce it, and he saw me grab the Yuna, so maybe that's a reason for not playing it. And that was me commenting of, why would you just play the red 13 if it dies to Fusoya? And that's when I saw that he had the other one in his hand. Now, of course, this is me just trying to buy some time with what I'm playing. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. So I have 2 Hope in my hand, and there's absolutely no reason not to play the Hope on the board. Wow, that was a huge misplay on my end. Of course, there was adult beverages off camera, but what have you. So certainly should have played Hope last turn. Here we get to see Aerith, so we get a free backup, which of course is always nice. But Emperor, as you guys know, is just a very real threat in the mono red deck, and of course it's going to be one of the best cards in Opus 2 in terms of what it brought to the meta, and also just how good the card is in itself. So very real card, very, very big issue that we have to deal with. So here we have the Hope, which we can block with if we need to. Again, here I want to leave up Yuna for Moogle because my hand was not that great, and here's where I decided that I should have left up Fusoya. So this is me trying to go back and forth determining which one was better, because I forgot if I had untapped one or not. So it should be, and again, this is me. I got lost on what my own turn was because I was trying to think of how I should have played the hope on the previous turn. So here I'm just explaining that hope comes into play. We have the 3 backups and we leave 1 up. Here again, we probably want to leave up the Fusoya over playing the Moogle just because overall it's better. And if he attacks, of course, you can just use the red mage that's on the board if he wants to get a point of damage, but it helps protect us from what he might have. But looks like he just has the 2 answers in his hand anyways, maybe? Now, what he could have done here is just play the Furion to deal 4,000 damage to Hope. And then on the Emperor's attack, he deals 5,000. So that would have put 2 things onto his board and removed my only relevant blocker. So instead, he is playing a bit more conservatively here, with just using red mage getting the point of damage. And here we go through Rubicante, just another very beefy 9k attacker, or in this case, because he has a backup, they're both 10k attackers. So again, living the dream here would be playing if we see the Veil Force starter, because we can play the Veil Force summon for 2, untap all our backups, and we get to use it with Yuna. So you use Fusoya, ping something for 7,000, Veil Force summon, untap all your backups, do it again, deal 10,000 damage to 2 forwards. So the other thing I will note about this deck is I really didn't like Cecil, and maybe it's just because I was biased because we played this matchup a lot. But Cecil just often died way too often for me to feel great about it. And playing the Riku here is just so I can have an 8k body on the board and hopefully, draw into a pain sooner rather than later. Because again, the way that we have to hopefully can come back from this is by drawing the pain and then just locking out the board with hitting a Minwu as well. So we have this 10k blocker that can't be touched, would be the ideal plan. So Matt here is just going to go for the can't block plan again. Attacking with Emperor first, dealing 5,000 damage to Hope. Oh. Tariku, never mind. I think I was asking which effect that Riku is protected by right now. Again, EX bursts the deck, no surprise here. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to make him bounce back to his hand. Emperor, because he tapped all his tapped out, so he can't do anything with it. So here we're just going to take a point of damage and trade away our Hope to leave him with an empty board, or to play the Furion, then he can kill the Riku. So the plan that we had talked about earlier with the 5 plus the 4 from Furion. And again, this is the kind of board states where it just feels bad with what we have. We can cycle away the Moogle to see if we draw anything else, but then we're limited on blue cards. Thankfully, our hand is pretty blue stocked at this point, even if I don't feel like it's a great play to discard some of those options, but it lets us dig into our deep deck a little bit deeper and figure out what our turn might look like. But honestly, none of these cards in my hand are that great to play based on the board state. Could also use Leviathan here just to play it and bounce something back to his hand, but that's not all that great either. I guess that's what I ended up going with anyways. So I could play Cecil uncontested, right? So again, the downside here is that Cecil has to block, and he's only a 9k in this list. If we had Maria or anything to pump him to a 10 with Minwu, that'd feel a lot better, but unfortunately he does. I did find the card was lacking in this specific deck. I think it's fine otherwise, though. So here we go, seeing that Emperor again. And this is me just attacking because I'm losing it on defense anyways, because there's just not a world where he doesn't attack with Emperor on the next turn. So at least this way we can offer a trade and get it off the board. That is, I'm bummer. Emperor should have been a 10k because of the low backup, so he shouldn't have broke there without me using Fusoya. So should be up a point of damage for record keeping. It's tucked away under the Irvine, which is why I like to keep my relevant backups up front whenever possible, unless it's Fusoya, which is just colorless and it sticks out by itself. Pain with Riku and Yuna lets me untap 3 backups and draw a card, so it plays itself for free and replaces itself, which is always great. And here I'm trying to figure out if I can make a forward big enough to be able to block his guy. Unfortunately, again, he's just a really good card. Riku here is a 10k that can't be targeted by anything, but we don't have a min move, so there's other ways where where it's just dead on board to, the power level that is Emperor. And in a perfect world, what we'd want to do is be able to play the Cecil here and make sure it doesn't have to block next turn, but we can't live all those dreams, unfortunately. So here Matt's just going to take the damage, no EX burst. And yeah, we are certainly behind in the damage race, but have a lot of backups, have a lot of cards in our hand, and hopefully going to find a path to get us back into this game. Again, playing the Cecil here just feels terrible. It just literally dies, unfortunately. And then neither of the Tidus really stack up favorably in this matchup, how we need them to. So our entire hand is just a classic feels bad moment. I would even go as far as that I'm inclined to just discard the Cecil for how underwhelming it's been, to play the Marilyn back up so we can draw some more cards and figure out what we need to be doing. I do not remember what card I was counting when I was going through that. I was counting my how many Tidus I had left in the deck. And then you see me drawing 2 cards. The first one off the top was a Fusoya, so that immediately goes into the graveyard. It doesn't really matter what my next card is. And you see that we picked up a Waka, which again would be great. It could be an 8k. That's a very strong attacker, but unfortunately not that strong in this matchup. So again, when you're able to play a deck that has a bunch of 10ks in it and just turn them sideways every turn, turns out can be very good for your opponent. And this was me discarding 2 cards to play for Tidus, so I can leave up Planet Protector, which is my last card, and the Fusoya, where hopefully we can just trade away Fusoya plus Emperor. Sorry, Fusoya plus Pain for Emperor. So here again we see damage going on to Tidus. Just trying to figure out which one he can't block with, or trying to make me not block with, and I only have the 1 card left in hand. And again, this goes to show that having Minwu here would be a lot better, because we wouldn't be having to worry about all this ping effects. And this is me just making sure what all he had. So making sure that would add up to 9k damage, which it did, and makes us feel great that we were able to keep the Aerith and get around it for that reason. That said, he is still attacking with a 10k that we can't really do a whole lot about. And here we're just trying to get a point of damage in where we can. Hitting the Tifa there feels absolutely great. You can see the Nora in our hand, which of course, because we have 5 backups, it's not doing anything for us. But we do have Zidane, which is great for just having a guaranteed blocker, if you will. Obviously, if you had a Tifa and had enough cards in hand, you could also Falcon Dive in the same turn. Sure, you get to live that dream. But based on the current board, saying only having a few cards in hand, chances are he wasn't going to pick anything up here that would hurt us. And turns out Brynhildr is still just a very good card. Looks like that was one of his pickups because he can just shrink Riku here. Decides to play Rosso just to get around the field, get some more board. So you can see that Matt's going for the I want to win next turn plan. Now I can kill the Phantasm here, but we take an extra point of damage in the process. And the point here he was worried about is if I were to get a Blitz Ace on the next turn, because no matter what, I'm going to 5 points of damage here. Either I'm trading away a card or 2 cards with Fusoya, taking a point of damage that way, or I'm just using it to kill one of his other guys. Again, in this case, we can only ping off the 2-drop that he played, but there are still options. So he decides to just pass. I decided to conserve my life total a little bit, which, as you're going to see in this turn, worked out immensely for me. And kind of just drew the nuts here to help us out of this situation. Or, in theory, 1 card away from the perfect hand that we could have got here, and this is us doing some math just to make sure that our Tidus is bigger than our opponent's. So here I forgot that he has Rosso, that the whole takes half damage thing, but it does kind of work out in our favor based on what else we have going on. And this was me just making sure that I sequence this correctly, but this turn is more or less like the key selling point of this deck. And this is me just making sure that, he's going to deal 9,000 damage or something, so he's going to kill something on the way out. So again, hitting an EX burst, just discarding the Fusoya because we get to live that dream. Hitting an Aerith here is absolutely insane. So here we're playing the Veil 4, which is going to do the rest of the damage to both those cards that we pointed at, finish them off, and then he gets to deal... oh, I'm sorry, that's right, because I have Yuna. He doesn't get the exit effect on Emperor. So from a player's standpoint, to be 100% correct, we should have moved the Emperor to a separate pile because that is relevant. It's just something that we missed here, but for Yuna, you do have to point to it and announce it, what have you, for the trigger, so you have to keep that in mind as well. So probably something that we should have stated a little bit more clearly, but at least we pointed to it so you can get that information on camera still, and you can see what was happening. So here we take another point of damage, go up to 6, kill off his other best guy, and then you can see that this is really where it's at for getting the damage in. Here was a small mistake on my part, but I couldn't have known what his next card was going to be. In this case, we could have just attacked with Pain first, potentially offer a trade, and this is what I was talking about through here, where Riku would then get a point of damage in, and this way gets his forward off the board. We lose one in the process, but at this point we're trying to win the game on the next turn anyways, so we'd have the 3 attackers and getting another point of damage, but unfortunately we didn't do that. And there is a point where Thankfully, I knew he wasn't playing any of the two-drop Tifas or Onion Knights, so I could have been a little bit more aggressive here as well, but I decided not to. But in the end, Blythe giving the mannequin plus 1000 power and first strike is insanely relevant. Unfortunately, we have what I love about the Veil 4 and Fusoya play is that, yes, we do have all these things that lets us clear the board and untap all our backups, but unless we have something else to do at that point, like we really need to have another forward that we can play. Cecil here would have been a great follow-up for that, but unfortunately we just didn't have it. And this is me going through and counting how many cards I had left of certain varieties. And the other thing about this deck is you do mill yourself very quickly just for how much draw power that this deck has and the different utilities that, you know, with the Marrow of the Moogle, you're always wanting to dig through your deck and find more solutions. So again, Matt is, he was feeling pretty good about his board state, but now he's in this position again where at any point, if he has, or if I have a Blitz Ace, that he is likely going to be just dead. And Matt's hand is a little, having the light Fusoya is rough, but he does have a Bahamut. 1, 2, 6. Yep, so he would have had enough to play the Bahamut as well, which he could have done. Instead of doing that, again, the Aerith is in my hand, so that's mostly a relevant point, but I think I would have tried to get 2 things off the board at that point and just hope for the best, because again, in this case, the thing that he's going to be losing to is Blitz Ace in this scenario. So our Fusoya isn't doing anything else the rest of this game. Lucky for us, we just draw another pain, and yeah, that's pretty much runner for the game, folks. Literally could not have drafted that up better. And then that was him making a comment where he should have used Bahamut instead, which he would have had to use, or he likely would have used on his turn. But either way, we would have just went for the Blitz Ace. He would have tried to Bahamut if he did on our turn, and then we just used Planet Protector. So going into game 2 for you now, that gives you a good idea of how the deck is supposed to work. Again, Veil 4, Fusoya is just everything that deck wants to be doing. Here we decided to keep a hand which was certainly questionable. Actually, no, I'm sorry, this one was after Mulligan. I just added that part out. So yeah, we unfortunately did not have anything. And again, because you're running so few backups, this is the reality that you're going to be stuck in sometimes, where if you don't hit that Marrow or you don't hit some early backups that you want to be playing, it can be very, very rough for you. So mulligan very aggressively if you're going to be playing the Fusoya deck. Here we're attacking with Waka just because we trying to win the damage race and need to get something going, and hoping that he just doesn't have a better follow-up. And again, here we can see things that, you know, pain everyone to watch, but overpaying for Aerith just to have a backup in the field so we can start smoothing out our other turns. And Matt here gets his Fusoya on turn 2, hits a point of damage, and then there goes my backup, which would have been key to hit on this next turn. But unfortunately, we don't have a really good play for this next turn. We play attack with Waka, get a point of damage, and then we're just going to follow up with a Nora, which we discarded a hope in the process to find it, but we get another hope here just to get another backup in the field, get a card back to our hand, and hopefully start generating some more resources for us, because now our opponent has a Fusoya on the table, and that doesn't, well, for us, it doesn't match up that well against some of our forwards, but it is certainly very much in the mono-red player's favor. So just a very sad pass here. There's not much that we can really be doing. So giving the red player some momentum here is absolutely what he wants to see. And again, Matt has Emperor in his hand, and I would just absolutely slam it down. If you're in a position where you have 2 backups and one of them is Fusoya, with the way that it combos with Emperor, by when he attacks, he deals 5,000, you can basically just kill any one of your opponent's forwards on attack. You're absolutely playing the Fusoya here. Or the Emperor, so you can Fusoya something away next turn. And it's kind of rough to see what's in his hand, but yep. So he plays the Emperor, and our Waka is certainly dead unless we do something. So we have Leviathan to stall, but that's obviously not going to be the best answer for us. And again, with Fusoya being free and the utility that it offers is just absolutely amazing. And this is me trying to figure out if I can, what'd be left in my hand if I want to do the Cecil play, or if I just use Leviathan so I can stall out a turn. A blue card short of what I want to do in this play, but sometimes that's the beats. And while making your opponent discard 2 cards for Emperor to create some short game tempo can be certainly good, you have to then follow it up with something relevant. Just bouncing to his hand, passing, is certainly a feels bad moment. And at this point, where again we're stuck with that Cecil in our hand, he really doesn't do a lot in this matchup. But also having the Riku and Pain being stuck in our hand and not having a unit yet also feels terrible. And here goes pretty much our chance at winning this game. Sometimes you can just get really unlucky like that. And again, when a deck is so reliant on hitting 3 Fusoya, it can be a little bit bad, but thankfully we ripped the third one. But again, now we're staring down Emperor and we hit it a turn late. Again, if we would have hit Fusoya the last turn when we had bounced his Emperor, we would have been in a significantly better position. That said, we have a little bit of work to do, and likely in a board state where we're not going to be able to have a clear path to victory, but maybe we can get there. But again, ultimately not looking too great for us. And again, being locked out of blue here is absolutely crushing as well. So again, me just kind of weighing some options and realizing that there's not a lot of great plays that we really have out of this turn, knowing that we are just going to have to take some beats here. And here we realize that we're just stuck with, if we attack, he can just block with Emperor, which is probably fine to hopefully offer the trade. But unfortunately, he has Belias, and we just get absolutely blown out by this play. Again, usually I'll say every turn or every game you can generally tell when the turn someone lost the game, and this was absolutely the losing turn for me. Basically, for the rest of the game now, he can just use Emperor and Fusoya to clear the way and make it so he doesn't have to invest a lot of resources from his hand when he just has an on-the-table killing machine. So in my opinion, one of the stronger things about the deck is going to be the fact that it has all these ping-related effects, and when they come together, it can be an absolutely unstoppable force. Now again, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but what about Minwu? Yes, that is something you have to take into consideration, but there is a lot to be said about how having a total of 6 10k, possible 10k attackers in the deck can match up against mono water. So I think if you were to try to go up against that deck, mono water versus mono fire, you could use Minwu and such, and Ultimacia and Waka backup, where you can have these 10Ks that are really beefy. But then you still have to worry about other effects with Emperor just dealing 9k when he dies. So here Matt could have used Fusoya, but instead he just wanted to discard a card to give it plus 2k power. Again, I had to block. And me just trying to figure out what my best line of play is here. Now I could get rid of Emperor, but that's probably about all I could be doing. And we're still taking a point of damage in the process. And this was me trying to see what can I get with brother that's going to be relevant. Chances are it's not actually anything that we really care about. So here we just go for the removing Emperor play, and then we get to bounce Rasa. So we get a little lucky that we can buy some time. That is a tempo swing in our favor, but now we're down to one card. We only have 2 cards. Sorry, we're down 2 cards, although the brother's not doing much for us. And we're still locked out of blue. So unfortunately for us, we don't have a lot that we can even follow up with on our next turn, because just playing Riku by yourself is actually abysmal. And oddly enough, here again, we are stuck with just being locked out of an element, which feels terrible. But here we have the option to discard a Riku, find brother, and at this point, I'm just trying to think of what in the world could I possibly get that digs me out of the game at this point. In some Christmas Miracle Land, we can find a Blitz Ace, but then again, we have to make sure that we're playing another character on the field just so he doesn't die to Fusoya, so that feels terrible too. And this is me shortcutting while I still have, since I was going to go back in with pain anyways, there's no point to shuffle the deck, present it, and then go back in. So pain here we're just using for deck thinning. Unfortunately, you can only grab, with brother you can only grab the forwards, but with pain you can grab the Yuna backup or any Yuna or any Riku, so that does give us some options. And here we're grabbing the Yuna just to potentially bounce something back to his hand. Again, hopefully delay another turn. We're certainly not winning the game by any means at this point. We're just trying to find lines to stay alive. And ultimately, they're just not there for us. Oh, and him ripping a Zangan here is just absolutely insane as well. So Furion actually can just kill that himself, but yeah, I think he just had game on that. I have to see how many cards he has in hand, but I'm pretty sure Matt just had game. If he would have used Zangan into Tifa, he could have just won that turn. So here I can bounce something, but I can't Fusoya anything away because